Welcome back to Music Kingdom. Taking a break from exploring the world of metal music, I've decided to take a sharp left turn and dip my toes into the world of K-pop. Despite my affinity for music spanning multiple genres and varying decades, the genre of K-pop specifically is one that I've yet to really dip my toes into. Now, while I'm sure there are far more nuanced and lesser known routes to go when exploring the world of K-pop, pardon me for going the mainstream route, because in this video, we are going to listen to, give a music theory breakdown for, and blindly review Dynamite by BTS. Hang tight. Hey music lovers, my name is Francis. If you'd like to support myself and the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Alright, now before we give the song a listen, first let's briefly talk Dynamite by BTS. Now typically at this part of the video, I will be going over either history, facts, context, trivia regarding either the song or the artist themselves. But since I'm the one dipping my toes into the work of BTS and the genre of K-pop itself, I'm going to encourage you guys to drop comments down below, filling in a lot of the blanks, educating not only myself but anybody else who might stumble upon this video not knowing too much about either BTS, the song itself, or the genre of K-pop. But even still, this is Music Kingdom, and on the off chance someone stumbles upon this video not knowing too much about BTS or the song, I will be going over some of the basics. The song Dynamite is from the 5th studio album by BTS titled B, released in 2020. To my knowledge, this album as a whole, in some way, shape, or form, was a response to COVID, inspired by BTS's perspective of life during the pandemic, with the intention of soothing the listeners during the pandemic, and this song specifically talks about the joy and appreciation for the little things that make life valuable. Further context worth knowing as well is that apparently this is the first song they released fully recorded in English, and in addition to that, this is the first song that went #1 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Now, I would like to mention to those of you who are diehard fans of BTS, I'm acknowledging that this song specifically, Dynamite, is a song that is not produced or written by the members of the band, which I suppose is a silver lining, because that means any criticism I have when I'm reviewing the song won't be necessarily held against BTS specifically. Lastly, regarding historical context, it's worth mentioning that this album titled B was BTS's 5th album to debut at #1 on the Billboard 200, making BTS the fastest group to earn 5 chart-topping albums in the United States since the Beatles. Now, a quick disclaimer. As mentioned, I am sure in the genre and in the world of K-pop, there are far more nuanced and lesser-known artists or groups, and I absolutely acknowledge that I am not only choosing the most mainstream group of the genre, I am choosing the most mainstream song by the most mainstream group in the genre. So as I dip my toes into the world of K-pop, I wholeheartedly encourage you guys to drop comments down below suggesting any other artists or groups or songs within the genre that I should check out next, or that I should review next. Other than that, it's time to give the song a listen, and just a heads up, I will pause to give my thoughts and to avoid any copyright strikes. And as always, be sure to stick around after the song for a music theory breakdown from our expert, and then we're going to divide the song into specific categories, grading them each and arriving at an overall score.
Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown.
It's fun so far.
Call me on my phone, nice tea, and I'll get my ping pong. This is heavy, can't hear the bass, boom, I'm ready.
Very poppy, although I guess that's insinuated in the K-pop name. I love the happy vibes. It's a nice sharp production. A little bit of like 70s influence. Thoughts so far, a nice, fun, happy vibe. I'm not honestly sure what more to say. I usually have a ton to say, and I think my ears might be used to either the Iron Maiden or their Metallica or the David Bowie type of music that I've been reviewing as of late. But I can appreciate it for what it is, and I'm sure that this is not the most complex or artistic or creative song by any means that BTS has to offer. Now, whoever they gave creative control to regarding the writing and the production of the song, obviously acknowledging this is not the brainchild of BTS, I can't help but feel that, I'll use the word influence, I can't help but feel that this was largely influenced by the success of Uptown Funk, which you can't fault. It's a recipe for success. And of course, I am having a fun time listening to this, and I appreciate the positivity that it brought into the lives of people during the COVID pandemic.
Let's go.
I can definitely see this being the success that it was, or that it is. I also appreciate that this was done with COVID and the pandemic in mind, just giving some people something to smile about. I like the usage of horns. Nice little guitar riffs. Key change! You don't hear key changes a lot anymore. It's a dying production choice that I like hearing in new music. That was fun, a nice happy vibe. Alright, initial thoughts, it is pretty much exactly what I expected, and I do not mean to generalize it and generalize K-pop as a whole, as a world, as a genre with all of its intricacies and artistry and nuances. I do acknowledge I chose the most mainstream song by the most mainstream group of the genre. So while I certainly did not expect anything mind-blowing, even still, it was perhaps even more generic than I was expecting it to be, which again, I'm not holding against BTS because this song was not necessarily their brainchild. And of course, even more reason for you guys to suggest in the comments below any other recommendations in the genre of K-pop, whether it be songs, albums, or artists. Now, before I blindly review the song more thoroughly and give my thoughts even further, first let's go to the expert's corner for a music theory breakdown and to hear what he has to say.
Welcome to the Experts Corner. This is Dynamite by BTS. This song's in the time signature of 4/4 and it's in the key of E major. However, in the last minute or so of the song there is a key change and it goes up to F sharp major. So musically this song is very simple. It's 4 chords, pretty much the whole song, and let me show you what those chords are. The progression starts on C sharp minor, which is the 6. Then it goes to F sharp minor 7, which is the 2. Then it goes to what I would call A over B, which is a version of the 5. And then it goes to the 1, E, which is home. In action, it sounds something like this. Simple and catchy. So this is the first BTS song I've ever heard, and I didn't know what to expect. I really enjoyed how upbeat it was, I love the funky groove, I like the high energy, and I'm always a sucker for key changes, so that was a nice touch. The production seems tight and it was well put together. All of that aside though, there just really wasn't much to this song. Musically, it was incredibly simple, one 4-chord progression that repeated throughout the whole thing. I didn't think there was very much going on with the lyrics. On the vocals, I thought there was way too much processing. I know that's just the times, but I think a lot of songs can do without excessive vocal processing. So in the end, I see this as a catchy pop song, but not something that stands the test of time or counts as like a huge work of art. It's catchy, it's fun, but I wouldn't call it something incredible. So all that in mind, I'm gonna give this song a 6 out of 10. Back to you, Francis.
A very special thank you to our expert for providing a music theory breakdown and giving the song a modest 6 out of 10. And now it's time to break apart the song into 5 more specific categories, grading them each and arriving at an overall score. Starting out with composition specifically, I'm inclined to give this song's composition a 5 out of 10. Reason being, it's pretty much as generic and basic as they come regarding either time signatures, chord progressions, melodies. There's just really not much to say about this song's composition, whether we're talking about it creatively or structurally. I'm not trying to be rude by any means, but if you were to turn on the radio right now, you would probably hear something that either sounds just like it, something that's better than that, or obviously something worse. For me, it's just middle of the road, which is reflected with a score of a 5 out of 10. Up next, we have production specifically, which I'm inclined to give a 6.5 out of 10. In my opinion, this is perhaps the strongest aspect of the song, at least when breaking it down into specific categories. I can appreciate the usage of horns, I can appreciate the fun guitar licks, I can appreciate what to me sounded like perhaps some inspiration from the 1970s, I can appreciate the harmonies, I can appreciate the key change, but at the end of the day, as far as production goes, this really isn't that fresh, it really isn't that innovative, it isn't really anything other than something that sounds a lot like everything else. But because of the aforementioned things that I do appreciate about the song's production, that is why I'm landing at a 6.5 out of 10, which in my opinion is good as opposed to a very middle of the road, mediocre 5 out of 10. Up next we have lyrics, which I am also giving a middle of the road 5 out of 10. Not to be redundant, but there really just isn't much there. It is exactly what you'd expect from a radio single, from a radio hit, from something that is so mainstream. And to be honest, I was inclined to give it a 4 out of 10, but the reason I bumped it up to a 5 is simply because of the context of it being something that came out during the pandemic that was intended to boost people's spirits during the pandemic, to cheer them up. So I acknowledge that, I appreciate that, and I respect that. However, regarding some of the greatest written songs in the history of music that would warrant 8s, 9s, 9.5s, 10s out of 10, this one, for what it is, just falls flat for me. And to be fair, those of you who are really into K-pop or really into BTS, who know far more that exists out there than myself, I'm sure you would probably also agree that compared to some of that other work that is probably more artistic or creative, that this one just isn't up there for you either. Let's move on to the category of vocals for this song, which I am unfortunately giving a 4 out of 10. I don't doubt that the various members of BTS can sing, and I would bet that they can actually sing pretty well. Otherwise, why would they be so successful? However, in this song, there's so much processing to the vocals, and while it isn't blatant auto-tune, it certainly isn't anything natural. I would like to make it clear that vocal processing in the music industry, in the genre of pop, especially in today's music, is so prevalent, so many people do it, and in many ways is an industry norm. But in my opinion, that doesn't make it good. For me at least, it doesn't make it enjoyable. I would much rather hear the talent of someone's voice without computerizing it. But even still, it was fine, it was catchy, it was pretty, you can tell that they can sing. But for me, processing vocals, at least to the extent that they do in this song, just seems pointless. It negatively affects my listening experience, which I feel is reflected in the score. Alright, now arriving at our final category of originality, I'm inclined to give this song's originality a 5 out of 10. Similar to the lyrics, which I also gave a 5 out of 10, I was also going to give this song's originality a 4 out of 10 as well. When talking about a song's originality, synonymous words for me would be words like inspiration, authenticity, artistry, vision, creativity. Songs like Bohemian Rhapsody, songs like Life on Mars, songs like Rocket Man, songs like They Don't Care About Us, just to name a few, and those aren't even the best examples. And then you have a song like this, which I think the best word to use for a song like this is the word product. It really just feels like a well-packaged and presented generic industry single, which is okay, and I did kind of expect that going into this video, at least in defense of the song, is again the aforementioned context of it being something that was intended to lift the spirits of people who were going through a pandemic. That in itself is worth an extra point of originality because at least the intentions were pure and creative in that way. But otherwise, given all the other songs this channel has reviewed, some of them being amazing songs, some of the best songs to ever exist, originality getting a 5 out of 10 makes sense. So now if we add it all up, throw in the expert score and average it out, Dynamite by BTS from their 5th studio album titled B, released in 2020, gets a modest 5.2 out of 10. And when you think about what kind of song this is, I think a 5.2 out of 10 is pretty fitting, but of course in the comments down below, let me know whether or not you agree. Am I right on the money? Am I batshit crazy? Am I somewhere in between? And of course, to those of you who are fans of BTS or fans of the genre of K-pop as a whole, as mentioned in the comments down below, drop any recommendations for me or anybody else watching this video wanting to dip their toes into the genre. So drop any recommendations for songs, albums, or artists down below. And as always, if you'd like to support myself and the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening with me, and I'll look forward to jamming with you in the next one.